There is a mouse somewhere in your home right now. You may have already dealt with it, trapped it, sealed the gap. Problem solved. But here is what nobody told you. The mouse being gone is not the same as the danger being gone. Because everything it shed while it was alive, the urine that dried into your floorboards, the nest it built inside your walls, is still there, waiting. And it does not need the mouse to still be present to get into your lungs.
Think about the last time you saw a mouse in your home. Maybe it was in the kitchen, maybe under the sink, maybe just a flash of movement at the edge of the room, there for a second, then gone. And you thought, I need to deal with that. So you set a trap, or you called someone, or you blocked the gap you thought it came through, and eventually it was gone. No more movement, no more sounds in the walls at night, no more evidence. Problem solved. But here is what nobody told you. The mouse being gone is not the same as the danger being gone. Because in the weeks that mouse spent inside your home, under your floorboards, behind your walls, across your kitchen surfaces in the dark, it was shedding something invisible, something that dries, something that becomes dust, something that becomes airborne the moment you disturb the space it left behind. Today we are going inside the biology of Hantavirus, not the version you read on a public health leaflet, the real version. The version that explains why the mouse you dealt with is not the threat. The threat is everything it left behind. And by the end of this, you will never look at a mouse sighting the same way again. The mouse that was in your home almost certainly looked completely normal. It wasn't limping, it wasn't sick, it wasn't showing any signs of distress. It was doing what mice do, foraging, nesting, moving, surviving. And that is exactly what makes it dangerous. Hantavirus lives inside certain rodents, primarily deer mice and wild urban rats, as what scientists call a persistent infection. Persistent means it never resolves. The mouse's immune system does not fight it off. The mouse does not get sick from it. The mouse does not die from it. The mouse simply carries it for life, completely healthy, completely normal. There is no way to look at a mouse and know whether it is carrying Hantavirus. No visible signs, no behavioral differences, no way to tell from a distance. A carrier mouse and a non-carrier mouse are identical to the human eye. And here is the number that should reframe everything you think you know about mouse encounters. In urban environments, in cities, in residential areas, in the neighborhoods most people actually live in, studies have found Hantavirus antibodies in anywhere between 10 and 30% of wild rodent populations, depending on the region and season. That means up to 1 in 3 mice in your neighborhood could be a carrier. Not in a forest, not in a field, in your neighborhood. Now think about the mouse you saw. Think about where it had been before you saw it. Think about what it left behind. Most people assume that to get Hantavirus from a mouse, you need to be bitten. You don't. In fact, the bite route is the least common way humans are exposed. The 3 routes that actually matter are ones most people have never thought about, and none of them require you to touch the mouse. None of them require you to see the mouse. One of them can happen weeks after the mouse is already dead and gone. Route 1. Urine. A mouse urinates constantly as it moves, not occasionally, constantly. It marks its territory, its trails, its food sources. A continuous stream of microscopic droplets deposited on every surface it crosses. That urine dries. It dries into the wood of your floorboards, into the insulation in your walls, into the surface of your countertops if the mouse crossed them at night. Dried mouse urine is not inert. It is a concentrated deposit of whatever the mouse was carrying. And when that dried urine is disturbed, when you sweep, when you move furniture, when air moves through the space, the particles become airborne. You breathe them in before you know what they are. Route 2, droppings. Same process, exact same mechanism. Mouse droppings dry out over days and weeks. Handling them, sweeping them, even walking near them in a disturbed space sends particles into the air. The critical mistake most people make when they find evidence of a mouse is reaching for the broom. Sweeping dry mouse droppings is one of the highest risk activities for hantavirus exposure. Not touching a live mouse, not handling a dead one. Sweeping, a completely ordinary domestic action. Route 3, nesting material. A mouse builds a nest from whatever it can find. Shredded paper, insulation foam, fabric, soft material pulled from gaps in walls and furniture. That nesting material is saturated with the mouse's biological presence. Urine, droppings, saliva, shed skin cells, compressed into a small, concentrated space that the mouse returned to every single day. Finding a mouse nest and disturbing it is the single highest concentration exposure event outside of a laboratory. People find mouse nests in garages, in sheds, in storage units, in the back of kitchen cupboards, in the insulation behind the walls of a room that has been closed up for a winter. They reach in, they pull it out, they breathe. 3 routes. 0 of them require contact with the animal itself. All 3 of them happen in ordinary domestic moments that most people do not think twice about. Here is the part that changes everything. The mouse is gone. You dealt with it. You removed it. The trap worked. There is no mouse in your home right now. But the virus it shed while it was alive does not leave when the mouse does. Hantavirus can survive outside the host body. In the right conditions, cool, dark, undisturbed, the virus can remain viable in dried biological material for several days to several weeks after the animal that produced it is gone. The timeline matters, so read this carefully. The mouse spent 3 weeks in your walls before you knew it was there. It shed virus-containing material throughout that entire period. You trapped it on a Tuesday. It was gone by Wednesday. The material it shed on the first day it arrived is still there, dried into surfaces, settled into gaps, waiting in undisturbed spaces, and it does not announce itself. This is why the cleanup after a mouse infestation is in many ways more dangerous than the infestation itself. The mouse was a moving target, unpredictable, fast, usually avoiding you. The dried material it left behind is everywhere it went, and it isn't going anywhere until you disturb it. The Centers for Disease Control guidelines for cleaning up after a rodent infestation are specific for exactly this reason. Ventilate the space for at least 30 minutes before entering. Wear gloves. Wear a respirator, not a dust mask, a respirator. Wet the area with a bleach solution before cleaning. This inactivates the virus and prevents the dried material from becoming airborne. Never dry sweep. Never vacuum without a HEPA filter. Most people do none of these things, because most people do not know the mouse being gone is not the same as the space being safe. There is a widespread assumption about hantavirus that is not just wrong, it is dangerously wrong. The assumption is this: hantavirus is a rural problem, a farmer's problem, a hiker's problem, a cabin-in-the-woods problem, something that happens to people who spend time in fields and forests, not cities. This assumption has cost people their lives. Urban rodent density, the number of rodents living per square meter of inhabited space, is in most cities higher than in rural environments. Think about what a city actually is from a rodent's perspective. Guaranteed food sources on every block, restaurants, markets, overflowing bins, food waste from millions of humans living in proximity. The person most at risk from hantavirus exposure is not a farmer. It is not a hiker. It is someone cleaning out a storage unit they haven't opened since last year. It is someone moving into a new apartment and finding evidence of the previous tenant's rodent problem. It is someone opening a basement that has been closed all winter. It is someone clearing out a kitchen cupboard at the back of which, behind the tins they never use, a mouse nested 6 months ago and has not been back since. Every one of those scenarios happens in cities, every single day. And in almost none of those scenarios does the person doing it know they need to be careful. Here is something most city residents will never know they depend on. The stray cats in your neighborhood are doing a job. Not for you specifically, not because anyone asked them to, but the effect is real and it is measurable. Stray cats are the primary biological control on urban rodent populations in most cities on Earth. A single healthy stray cat can suppress the rodent population across a territory of several city blocks. The mere presence of a predator changes rodent behavior. Rodents forage less, they move less, they breed less aggressively, they stay deeper in cover rather than crossing open spaces. Less rodent movement means less viral shedding in shared human spaces. And here is where it gets important. In cities where stray cat populations have been removed through culling programs or mass relocation, often with good intentions, often under pressure from residents who do not want stray cats in their neighborhood, rodent populations have spiked dramatically within months. More rodents, more viral shedding, more contaminated surfaces in more shared urban spaces. The stray cat you see on your street and think nothing of, the one that sleeps on the wall and occasionally disappears for days, is suppressing something you cannot see and would not want to encounter. Most people think stray cats and urban rodents are two separate problems. They are one system, and you are living inside it. This is the part of hantavirus that most people, even people who know about the virus, do not fully understand. Because hantavirus does not announce itself immediately, there is no immediate reaction. No instant symptom, no sign in the hours after exposure that anything has happened. The incubation period for hantavirus is 1 to 8 weeks. 1 to 8 weeks. The average is between 2 and 4 weeks, but the range means that someone exposed on a Monday could have no symptoms at all until the following month. And during every single day of that window, the virus is replicating, silently, without announcement. When symptoms do arrive, they arrive fast and they arrive hard. It begins like the flu, fever, muscle aches, fatigue, headache. These early symptoms last for 4 to 10 days. Then, in cases of hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, the lungs begin to fill with fluid. This is not a gradual process. It happens rapidly. Within hours of the respiratory symptoms beginning, a person who seemed to have a bad flu can be in respiratory failure. The mortality rate for hantavirus pulmonary syndrome is approximately 38%. People don't connect what they are experiencing to a mouse they encountered 3 weeks ago. They treat it as flu. They wait. There is no vaccine. There is no specific antiviral treatment. There is supportive care, oxygen, mechanical ventilation, management of the fluid in the lungs. The only medicine that actually works against hantavirus is not being exposed to it in the first place. Think about the last time you saw a mouse in your home. Same question as the beginning, same ordinary moment. But it doesn't feel the same anymore, does it? The mouse you saw was never the problem. The mouse you didn't see was closer to the problem. And the dried, invisible material left behind in the spaces both of them crossed, that was the problem all along. The mouse is gone. Make sure you treat the space it left behind like it isn't. This channel exists for one reason: to take the animals that share your world, the ones most people walk past, ignore, or remove without a second thought, and show you what is actually happening, what they carry, what they leave, what they change in the spaces where you live. Every week, right here. Subscribe, because the next mouse you see is already gone by the time you notice it. What it left behind is still there.